Guys, we are on site with Paul with Niagara Machines. We're learning concrete grinding prep the right way, the professional way. So stay tuned and enjoy the video. Ready to get dirty? Yeah. Time is money, and the hardest part of these jobs is
grinding the floors.
Right, concrete prep.
Yeah.
If you could do that as fast and as efficient as possible, you're on to the next one, making more money, right?
Yep. My name is Jess Bradzinski. I'm with Proskis Inc. We are out of Worthington, Minnesota.
How long have you been doing this?
I've been doing this for 3 years now. 2-3 jobs a week,
Nice.
depending either it's lifting or it's a floor rescue or it's coatings.
So you came through our hands-on training program. Now you're running your own coatings company. What flipped the switch for you?
My family. I wanted to be my own boss, and I wanted to provide my customers a cheaper solution versus ripping that concrete out and completely replacing it.
Cool. And how do you get in a lot of your work?
Word of mouth.
Word of mouth. That's great. That means this guy's doing good work. What do you wish every new epoxy installer knew before firing up their grinder?
How expensive it is to get involved. Ambition, drive, passion, and dedication to his customers.
All right, Paul, let's talk diamond abrasion.
Okay.
What do we got going on here? There's all sorts of different heads.
We do. There are a bunch of different options here. So on this side, we kind of have our specialty tooling.
Okay.
So let's jump to that second. This is what you're going to see day in, day out.
All right.
All right. And we have, as you can see, different colors, different shapes, and the different numbers of tooling. All of that is all dependent on what you're using, what the concrete is.
Hardness level of the
hardness
concrete.
level, and how heavy is the equipment. Hi, my name is Paul Gustafson. I'm with Niagara Machine. We're the world's largest distributor for Lavina, which is a super abrasive grinder. We have DymaPro, Turco, and then have a lot of other brands, but really Lavina and DymaPro are our major brands. Right. So if I poke you with my finger with 1 pound of pressure, not bad. Right. But if I take a needle, 1 pound of pressure,
it's going to hurt.
It's going to hurt, right? So that's basically what we're looking at here. Okay. So with these heavier machines, you're looking at tooling that have 2 buttons, 2 bars, something like that, because you want to spread that weight out.
Right.
You want the tooling to last longer.
Copy.
All right, so that's that. And then when you get to the smaller machines, or 20-inch, stuff like that, you're looking at a single button or single bar. All right?
Because the weight won't just dig that puppy right in. Right?
Exactly, yep. And then your tooling lasts longer.
So the hardness level of the concrete is determining what grit and bond you're going to be using here?
So the hardness determines what bond you have.
Okay.
And then really what you're coating or what you're doing will
what you're
determine.
going to be applying.
Correct. Yep.
And that gets you your concrete surface profile, which we're going to be going after by braiding.
Exactly, yes. And so what you want to do when you're trying to figure out your tooling is, where are we and where are we going? Are we putting down a marble floor? Are we putting down flake? All these different questions. So when people call me, like, hey, what do I use on this? What are we doing? Yeah. Oh, we're polishing. Oh, well, don't use, with ones with big gougy edges.
Sure.
Right?
You'd be there all day.
Yeah. Asking these questions ahead of time.
Right.
How hard is the floor? Do we have to take anything off? And where are we ending?
Yeah, what are we applying?
Yeah. Yep. And so let's say we're putting down a coating, flake coating, the marble floor. I'm kind of outside of my wheelhouse, because that is like, talk to Stone Coat. They will tell you what your CSP, which is your concrete surface profile, a 1, 2, or 3. 2 is kind of that typical area.
It's usually your safe space, right?
Yeah,
for what
exactly.
We're doing here.
Yep.
Not too aggressive, but plenty for that epoxy to bond for long term.
Right. Yeah. And so if you move up too smooth, it's going to peel right off. Yep. But I ground it.
Yeah, and that could happen, later on with water pressure, right?
Exactly.
Well, so definitely.
So I'm a fan. It goes 14 or 16. So 16, 30, 70, 120 are the grits, right? The small,
sandpaper,
just like sandpaper. Exactly. The smaller the number, the larger the grit, right? Or the larger the diamond. So what's happening is, and why we want to know how hard or how soft the concrete is the concrete wears away the metal exposes the diamonds grind.
Yep, and the diamonds are embedded in that metal.
Yes, all the way through, not just the top.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. It's poured in almost, right?
Exactly.
It's in there.
Yeah. Yep. And so we want to most efficiently expose the diamonds so that they can last as long, but you're also not going and going and going.
Yeah, you're glazing them, and they're not effectively abrading.
Exactly.
They're just glazing right over it.
And glazing, or just really not doing anything. Right.
And that would be too, you're using a too high of grit on the concrete. Is that what would do that?
Too high of grit, or the wrong bond. And so what we want to do on here, we've got, and they're color coded. Gray is a medium bond. Thank you.
Or is that universal color coded?
Not at all.
Not at all.
Not at all.
So it depends on your manufacturer.
It does. It depends on your manufacturer. We talk about the concrete. So what's the hardness of your concrete? Right? So you scratch it and it's extra hard. Other manufacturers go by what's the bond of your metal. So, it's extra hard concrete, give me soft bonds. So it's a little bit of mental gymnastic.
You want to take a break and stand? Your knees are dying.
So there were some questions that were, like, what is, glazing, or, CSP, stuff like that. So CSP is concrete surface profile. And what that is basically is on the concrete, how big are the gouges?
What condition is it currently in, right?
Well, where do we want to get to?
You need to be at a certain CSP in order for your coating to adhere properly.
Right.
Correct?
That mechanical bond, the bigger the ridges, the more you have to grab onto, right? And so in that world, when I was doing it and installing, I liked my 14s or 16s.
And that's grit.
The grit. Yep, 14 or 16 grit. So it's a bigger diamond. It's going to create a larger gouge or a bigger CSP. And that was nice because I knew I had a nice mechanical
bond. It's going to
bond
and be there forever.
Yep. Now 30 grit is by far the most common. It's kind of your best bang for your buck. And also when you get into the really hard concrete, you have more diamonds to help grind the really hard stuff.
Does a lower grit diamond produce more dust?
It does. Yep, it does. In fact, if you get into the polishing world, as you go higher and higher and higher, and you get into the transitionals, which are in between the metals and the resins, you start seeing just less and less and less dust.
How do we determine the hardness of the concrete?
Great question. Back in the day, the old way was, you grab a key or a screwdriver and you just kind of hack at it and get an idea.
See how much pressure it's
And then, what they'll do is they'll just have a trailer full of diamonds. Right, and they'll do that, or they'll throw them on the grinder. Oh, that doesn't work. Take them off. Put on the next one. Oh, that doesn't. And so they're wasting time. Efficiency is always good. So this is a scratch test. So if you're down in Florida where they're using seashells,
it's your aggregate, right?
You pull out this one that's plastic and copper, and
scratch it.
That's going to scratch it.
Out in Oregon, they use granite, so boom, much harder than it would be in Florida. And I just recently moved to Texas, where they use limestone. That stuff is soft. I'm scratching 2s and 3s. In Oregon, I was scratching 7 and 8.
Exactly. And so the tooling, that's why we have different toolings, right? So down in Texas, if you're scratching 2 or 3, you're going to have yellow tooling. And that's for soft concrete.
Right. Otherwise, it's just you're less efficient grinding that floor, right? You're going to spend more time. It's not going to properly grind it. Your coating may not hook up, adhere right?
Correct. There's actually two of that. If you have hard tooling on a hard floor, it's going to be like ice skating. You'll just skip across.
Glazes right over it.
And you're just going to walk and walk and walk. But the tooling's going to last forever.
And it won't. And
it won't do anything, But
you're not going to be grinding anything, right?
Exactly.
Almost polishing that concrete.
And then if you go the other way, where you use soft tooling on a soft floor, instead of getting a bunch of square footage, you might get 200 square feet, and your tooling is completely gone.
Yeah, out the door.
Right. When whether it's the sales call or, when you first get to the floor, do a scratch test. Write it down so when the crew comes, they know what tooling to bring.
I do this when I'm out bidding quote time, right? I'm out there checking my floor. I'm looking at cracks. I'm looking at the condition.
Perfect.
I do a little scratch test. I moisture test. Now I know what my hardness is. The moisture is good to go. And now I'm off to the races. Even if the customer doesn't go with me or not, my little scratch in the corner doesn't affect the concrete.
No, not at all. And like the situation we have here, we have this floor, and then we have a separate floor. Now, it might be one pour, even though there's a wall, but sometimes you'll come in.
2 pours.
2 pours. Scratch test both of those because they might be completely different.
So that's my next question, and not all concrete's made equally, right? So when you're ordering your concrete, you can have more cement in this load compared to the other one, which can make it harder, right?
Correct.
Or you're at a commercial job where the codes are higher. They're driving forklifts and equipment on that. When I call up the ready mix guy as a homeowner, I want the cheapest load most of the case, right? I'm like, give me the cheap stuff, and they come on out, and it's going to be a little bit softer.
Absolutely.
Compared to going to an industrial, commercial job where there's a higher code, that stuff can be rock hard.
Absolutely, and also, what time of year was it? Did it rain? Did you often hear, you can tell here because you can tell the concrete got away from them, right? And it's all wavy or whatever it is that you may end up be open to changing your tooling.
Yes, sir.
As you're going, if you start seeing like, oh, it's cutting differently, as I say, let the floor talk to you. If you're going from a lot of dust to no dust,
Something went on.
Yep, something's changed.
Exactly.
So check it out.
Cool.
But this is how you test.
Let's do it.
This is a scratch test. We'll get down here. And it's very simple, but very important. The big question is, well, how hard, right? So how hard are we pressing? We just kind of, dilly-dally
Writing
in.
on a pad of paper?
You might be old enough. I know I am. Remember 3 carbon copies?
Oh, yeah.
There we go. All right. So about 3 carbon copies. Oh, so I'm going to use this little piece of glass.
Okay.
So it says 5.5 on here. So what I'll do is I'm going to find a 6 because that's just a little bit harder, right, than the 5.
So the 6 should scratch our piece of glass.
Right. Exactly. And so what you're doing is you're pushing until you get a scratch.
That's the same pressure you'll want to use.
There we go. So then we have a scratch. Here's our 9.
Copy.
So what we're looking for is a nice scratch and kind of a poof of dust. So come down and just, a little bit of poof. I'm going to go to 8. Not much of a poof.
No, a little less there.
A little less. So let me jump down to a 7 just so I can show that it will just goes right across.
Getting barely there.
Barely any. So
It's
now,
hard concrete.
What's that?
It's hard concrete.
It is hard concrete. And we can see here 7 actually spans hard and extra hard. I prefer, personally, I'm going to go to the other one.
You're going to go harder.
I'm going to go, to the harder concrete because I can be more efficient.
Sure.
And I can move faster.
Now, if you go to the harder diamond, is there anything you're sacrificing?
Yes. So I'm going to chew up, or this gold won't last as long as if I did the red.
But you're going to be moving.
But I'm going to be moving. So I'm trading life of the tool for labor.
Which often, as a contractor, the tooling is part of my bid. The customer's paying for that tooling.
Exactly.
With a little bit of a margin.
Right.
Because I'm running around sourcing all this stuff.
Exactly.
Now, let's talk about these other goodies, man.
Yeah, those are some fun ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is,
This looks medieval.
It does. I talk about the Vikings with the tool or the post, and then they spin it around.
That's what I'd have. I'd have the little ball on a stick.
That's it. Yep.
Dude, good night.
Do some good damage.
Yes.
So these are specialty toolings. Every contractor should have a variety of this with them in their trailer, right? Is it medium, hard, extra hard concrete so you can move with it, right? These
it's like a plumber, right? The plumber shows up to your job site and he's got everything that the Home Depot has on his truck.
Exactly.
You don't want to have to run around, jump around. It's another thing about having good equipment. You're more efficient. You're going to make more money.
Oh, 100%. And you're not going to find any of this at Home Depot.
No, 0.
Right. This is all, very specialty, and you're going to wait a little bit. So have it on hand.
Yes, sir.
All right. So there's a few different ones here. Let's spin this and talk about this guy first. This is called a PCD.
Those will last quite a few jobs, right?
They should. But what happens many times is guys that don't own the company or pay for the tooling see how well that this can gouge the floor. And they're like, oh, that's great. They're designed to tear coatings off.
Yeah, that's its main purpose, right?
Yes.
I'm showing up to the job and there's a semi-professional coating done, 100% solids down, flake, but it's peeling up in areas. They didn't prep the floor right.
Correct.
You can't just take diamonds to that coating.
Right. It'll kind of sand through it, but it'll take
just
forever.
Melt and get gooey and nasty, right? So you slap this guy on, what's this do?
So what this does, remember we were talking earlier about head pressure?
Yep.
And you have 2 buttons, 2 bars, all this. Well, this has just the tip, almost like just your fingernail tearing through it. Yep. And they're very aggressive.
So these bars keep those from digging too deep.
Exactly. So I call them brakes. They're sacrificial bars because we have them without the bar. So if you have some big, thick stuff you got to tear off.
I've used them without the bars. It gets nasty.
It really does. And fast.
Yes, it's aggressive.
It does. But these are great if you got to get a coating off, a quality coating.
Right.
Yeah.
So we're not talking the paint on floor kits you can buy at the big box stores.
Correct. Yep. The DIY stuff.
Yeah, that can come off with this guy, right?
Regular tooling. So this is for a professional floor that's on there. Put this on.
Somewhere.
It's failing, or it's not. And they want to change up the color.
Sure.
Right. And
rip it out.
And start from scratch.
Chop it out.
So that's it. Just remind to tell the guys. This is for removing coatings. Don't get all excited about the big gouges because you'll wear them down and these are expensive. So use them what they're for.
Well, roughly, if you're using it for what it's for, how many jobs you think? Or is that
square footage wise, you should get 5,000 to 7,000 square feet.
Dang, that's a lot.
Yeah.
And you would put a PCD on every one of these heads.
So that's actually a great question. So with a 30-inch, you have a 13-inch plate here, and you can hold 6 pieces,
Yes.
right?
Right.
And if you go to the 25 and the 20, you can only hold 3 pieces.
Okay.
Most guys run this with only 3.
Even the big boy, they'll just slap 3 in there.
They'll slap 3 in there.
Center, space them evenly. And
Exactly.
Go. Okay, cool.
If you're polishing and you have a wavy floor, you can fill it all the way up, and it's not going to make the floor flat, but it will help flatten it.
Yeah.
Kind of take out some of the,
Yes, sir.
the highs and lows.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So this
Next
one,
up,
the
look at
medieval
this.
one, this is the bush hammer. Yeah, that's
The bush hammer.
That's the fun one. They're on its axle. And you want to run these, first off at about half speed. Now you throttle.
What's the purpose of this bad boy?
So a couple on that. One, if you have like a cementitious top that you have to remove that your PCDs can't, this will help, because what this wants to do is pulverize, hit, and just beat up the concrete.
Destroy.
Yep.
So we're talking a cement overlay over concrete type of deal that's
Exactly.
kind of failing and nasty.
Yep. The other one is we had talked about CSP, or the concrete surface profile. So, your regular tooling is going to get a CSP of 1, 2, 3.
And these are our epoxy coatings.
Epoxy coatings. And then if we need a urethane cement or something where the manufacturer says, we need a higher CSP, which is again concrete. How rough?
The higher the number, the more rough.
More rough it is, yeah. So if you look at that, that's a 10. So you're looking, a bridge deck, stuff like this. But you can achieve a higher profile, so you can
if that coating calls for it.
If that coating calls for it.
Stone coat coatings are between 2 and 3.
Bingo.
That's perfect.
Absolutely. So that will be for that purpose. Now we also now have 1L or L1. I get turned it around concrete, and it's making its way around. That even with some of our specialty tooling is really, really hard to bust through that cap. So
it's an overlay as well, or
no? It's just the new eco-friendly, I guess, concrete. Full of limestone.
And the cap, you're talking like bust through the cream.
Yeah.
Copy that.
Yeah. So the cap, this nice look here is the cap,
right.
and we got to get that off.
And that's what the finishers are doing to make it beautiful, so you can live with this. But we need to open that up so the epoxy can bond.
Exactly. And this new concrete's pretty difficult to use it. So I know guys
I haven't
have.
farted with it yet.
Oh, yeah.
So
when you do, you'll know.
So when you get to it, what happens? You go and you're not grinding anything.
No, yeah. You let the floor talk to you, and you're looking like, why am I not getting dust? Or just barely. Or you'll grind it, and you look from the side, and you'll still see shiny.
Yeah, it's not good.
Yep. So we have some specialty tooling, but in the end, if you have this, that will help bust it open to expose, and then you can put your tooling on it and go.
So it's a 2-step process at that point. You're going to hit the whole floor with medieval, and then bust out your tooling.
Bingo. Yep.
And the diamond tooling would go quicker, right? After that, or same?
Oh, absolutely.
Same? Okay.
Yeah, because you've put all these holes in it.
Cool.
The thing is, don't run this, too fast.
You walk the speed down.
Yes. Yep. You want the throttle on this one at about half.
Okay.
Half speed.
And that's for the PCD and this?
For this, for sure. But PCDs, 3/4.
Okay.
You'll be fine.
Cool.
And again, let it talk to you. If it's really thick, yeah.
Okay.
So you want more of that torque.
What's this bad boy?
All right. So this is a fun one. So this is your carbides. If you have glue, mastic, anything like that.
Glue down tiles. You pull the tiles up. There's a glue all over the floor.
All over the floor.
Don't just grind it, man. You're there all day.
Yep. And that first pass especially, right? Oh, it takes forever.
Just smearing it everywhere.
Yep.
I've done it. Bad day.
A very bad day. And the old-fashioned way of doing it, right, is throw some silica sand in it.
Helps it a little
You
bit.
put a little bit of water, or throw flour, baking flour into that.
I used the sand that helped, but it still was a sucker.
Yeah,
it sucked.
Absolutely. Yeah, it spritz a little. You don't want to make too much water, right, so that you're creating a slurry, but just enough to keep it cool, and then it will help. But what this does, you can see the flat. It is literally just riding on the concrete.
So it won't abrade the concrete at all. It's almost like a bulldozer.
Exactly.
Scraping that off.
Yeah, just scraping it off. And this is an 8-sided. So once this gets dull, you loosen it, turn it, loosen it, turn it. Then when these are for, you just take it and turn it around. And the great thing is, then you just have to purchase this one again. Instead of the whole thing.
You're just changing a little head out
there.
there.
Just change that
what happens if you hit something in the concrete, like a piece of metal or something would mess those
Well,
up.
now I'm hoping you went through and looked for it first. You know, you tagged it, but let's say you didn't.
Yeah, that ain't gonna be good, right?
I mean, really, with any of these toolings, that's a bummer, right?
Yes,
that can bust some tooling. So always check before us.
Yes, sir.
But this has a little spring in there, so it has some give to it. Chances are you're going to dent this, so you're going to take it off, turn it,
to change
and
it
keep going.
point.
Yeah, but if you hit something,
you'll leave a little gouge of glue in there where it's not hitting.
There you go.
And if you want the full pro workflow, tooling choices, prep standards, and the system start to finish, check out the Stone Coat Pro program. Rob and his team are going to make sure you have every ounce of epoxy you need to successfully install that DIY pro grade epoxy flooring. I'll leave a link in the description below. Give them a holler. It's free and you won't regret it.
All right, Paul, we've got 2 amazing pieces of equipment here.
Yep.
I see this one's got 3 heads. That's got 2. What the heck's the difference, and why would I choose one?
Great question. So the one with the Lavina over here, this is called a Planetary. So you have one big drum.
Okay.
And then you have the 3 satellites.
Okay.
So you have the big drum that spins.
It's rotating.
Yep. And then the small satellites spin the opposite direction. So everything's spinning like this and independently spinning.
So you're getting movement, man.
You are getting movement.
Going. Copy.
So you've seen where people are doing this, right?
They're just going back and forth.
Back and forth, you know, they're kind of swinging, you know.
Backwards.
And
sweeping it almost, right?
Right. So that's what you're going to do with this machine. This guy, you're just mowing the lawn. Just nice straight lines.
Really?
Yep. So it's great. This is very user-friendly.
Because it is doing this
It's just
and this
and
backwards. So you could just go.
You just go.
And it's completely abraded.
Exactly.
Now, if you did that with this, you'd have kind of a little tracks.
You'd have you would get kind of this.
Yes, sir.
And so we were chatting earlier, I compare it to drywall, right? So where you strike it and then you feather out the edges. That's what you're doing with this guy. You're feathering the edges and then you go to the next one, you feather into each other.
Yep. So feather in, I'm gonna sweep here, and then the next pass, the right side of my grinder is gonna sweep in a little bit right to where I just was.
Bingo.
And those two are gonna match up.
Exactly.
Be feathered together.
Exactly. Yep.
Gotcha, man.
Yep. And so Planetary, and this is Rotary. We have on our end a 2-head, and then Justin has in his trailer one that has 4. Oh. And these are counter rotating, so they spin toward each other.
Okay. Copy
so that. It is a very nice, even pull. You know, it doesn't pull one way or the other.
And you gotta fight it back.
Exactly. Now, here's the catch, right? Remember we talked about the specialty tooling over here, and that has a blue the carbide piece, right?
Cutter. Yes, sir.
So this is, I'm using this one because it is spinning this way. All right, and it's blue. We have black ones designed to spin this way. All right. So if you're using electric, they spin the out. Well, you can typically go both forward or backwards, right? Okay, but I always remember blue for propane, like Blue Rhino. All right,
cool.
Now, if you're going to use that on this, they're counter rotating. 3 blue, 3 black.
Right. Or one won't be just doing anything.
Exactly. Yep. So your PCDs or these would be running backwards.
PCDs the same way because they are directional.
Exactly.
They have one cutting head.
Exactly.
Yes, sir.
So PCDs, carbides, just keep that in mind if you're on one of these. That you will have to split it half and half.
This guy, you're good because it's all going the same direction.
All going the same direction.
And then the drum spins. Yep.
Exactly.
Yes,
yep. Awesome. So this is very, you have a new guy coming on, very easy because if they, let's say they pause for a second, pick up the phone. That never happens. This is going to be a little more forgiving.
It's not going to dig down.
Exactly. You stop with one of these, it definitely
won't take much time, will it?
No, not at all.
Right.
And then let's say you're going to polish. You'll see a lot of guys both ways. A lot of terrazzo guys, they like the rotary. You'll see rotary.
Because it cuts better, cuts in quicker, or
I would say a little bit more tradition. It's what they've done. Right. But they're also much heavier, higher torque, which, when you see the terrazzo when it starts, right, they need to take it all off.
The guys at Walmart right now in my hometown are polishing that slab, and they're rolling in every night a few of these bad boys.
Yep.
And they're polishing away.
Absolutely.
It's looking good, too.
Good.
All right, now why would I choose this guy over that, just like what you're saying, if you got a newbie? What's the price difference? Just
like with cars, right? There's the Yugo all the way up to the Lamborghini in the line. So like this is our 30-inch. This is kind of, that's the number one selling grinder period.
This gets
propane.
through some square, rule of thumb, like how many square foot per hour roughly?
You're going to get about 1,000 square feet an hour with this guy. There's a 25 inch, which is literally this exact same machine, except we take and we put it on different plates, all right? The smaller plate.
Copy.
And you're going to get about 800 square feet per hour.
Okay.
And then we have a 20 inch, and you're going to do about 500 square feet per hour. Then we have a 32, a 38. So you can get a little over 2,000 square feet with the 38.
Man, if you're doing 2-car garages, why not have that littler guy? You can move around quicker. Bust that out in an hour still, right?
Right.
You're not going to save much time using a little bit bigger unit on a 2-car garage.
Maybe not initially, but once it's like compounding interest, right?
Sure.
That you save more and more time. Where you save the biggest amount of time is when there's damage. Right. That heavy machine with the extra power
can level some stuff.
It will really go through that mender. And
now, why choose propane over electric? Right, you're not going to have to buy a generator, right? Is that one of the biggest
I would say, yeah. And what's funny is the guys who don't want to buy it, like, oh, I want to deal with a motor. I'm like, well, how about that generator?
When that goes out, the light goes done, right?
What's that?
Now, when your generator goes out, you're out of work.
You're out of work.
You got to get that thing fixed or go get a replacement generator. Is there any problem with running a propane inside of a garage or inside of a smaller room?
Yeah, absolutely. So, kind of jumping back to why I would use propane: convenience. It's easy. You don't have all the cords, and the generator running.
Vacuum only.
Right, yeah, you've got a vacuum hose that's kind of moving around. You pull it off the tailor. Exactly. Man, I think we talked earlier. You got to have a PhD in cord and hose management.
You do. That was the movement. And you guys know exactly what I just did if you've done this for a living.
That's so true.
Yeah.
So when I first started doing demos, I had a propane grinder and a propane vac. It was just one hose. Ooh. Oh, man, was that nice.
That was nice. I didn't even know they made propane vacs.
Yeah, that's nice.
Sign me up.
So where you typically can't, in Minnesota, we have down in Rochester, the Mayo Clinic. You're not running propane, right? If they're in an office and they want to polish the floors during business hours.
Sure, no way.
It's going to be a little more difficult, right?
Sure.
So those are some of the restrictions. And like you would ask, how do we do a garage? Well, most of the times you have the big door open.
Right.
So you're fine.
Or if we hop in here, I'm going to keep this open. Maybe have a fan going. Just keep some fresh air in there.
Exactly.
We're not going to be in there suffocating ourselves out for hours.
Right, but the other point is, though, if you are, be smart. Have your CO monitor on, and then this also has a monitor that if it gets too high, it will cut off.
It's too saturated. It knows. That's fabulous. That's a great safety feature. I did not know that had that.
They both will have that.
That's fantastic. That'll save you.
Oh, absolutely.
Because you won't even notice it hitting you.
But again, though, have your own, just in case, mechanics,
Yes, sir. And
in
here, like I said, with a garage door, I'm not worried about it. It's going to stay in the truck, right?
Right.
There's plenty of air in here. What happens when OSHA rolls by and they see a big cloud of concrete dust blowing out of the garage?
They like to stop and hand out fines.
Yes, a lot of money. They'll put you out of business. If you're going to put epoxy down, I'm not going to grind wet. Now I got to wait for all that to go, right?
Absolutely.
Not going to happen. We're going to vacuum that stuff up. Why pick a vacuum like this?
So one, right, lungs, safety, all that, right? So that's the purpose of the HEPA vacs. These have 3 HEPA filters in them.
Nice.
And they also have 3 motors. And these are automatic pulsing. So they will pulse individually and then also pulse all of them at the same time.
And they're keeping the filters clean for maximum suction.
You have kids?
Yes.
Do the Diaper Genie?
Yes.
Diaper Genie right here. There you go. So it's one long, I want to say it's 60 feet long. It's just one long tube.
Like an infinity bag.
Absolutely. There you go.
Sweet.
Yep. Right. So this is me sitting in here filling with dust.
Filled with dust.
You're going to pull down a little bit.
Yep.
Zip tie through.
Boom.
And now we've created our
contained.
It's contained. Now I'm a fan of give yourself some room.
And it's a handle.
Absolutely. Basically creating now the bottom
of the next
bag. And then just kind of slice it here. And some guys do this, some guys use a scissor. Now, when you do pick it up, don't pick it by 1, pick it by 2.
Be a Boy Scout.
There you go.
All right. So that's our vac. That's our grinder. Vacs are covered. Grinders are covered. What else are we dealing with here?
Well, so the grinders, right? They take care of everything
flat.
The field.
The field, right? The field, the edges, all that, which works great. But once you hit anything below flat, right, a valley,
You can't sit there and dig.
You can't.
So I'm from the Midwest, right? Up here we have a lot of salt damage, a lot of spalls. They'll just take the cutoff blade and put a cross in it to get some fresh concrete, fill it with their mender, and hope it doesn't pop, but it will. Now, you can repair a couple. I shouldn't even say repair. You can patch a couple because you will see it, but eventually you end up tearing up the floor and starting over. So I'm a huge fan of a shot blaster so that you can fill it and grind it flat. It sounds fancy, but really in my world, that is a necessity. Shot blaster, grinder. Instead of using, the diamond tooling, you're actually using metal shot.
Like this is baby bird shot.
Baby bird, that's exactly it. This is size 330.
So
that's
my next question was, is this in different sizes?
It is. So this is about as small as you get. It's a 9-inch shot blaster that's literally run off of a hand grinder. So the grinder has a wheel on it that is spinning and then throwing the shot at the floor.
Copy that.
And that same idea, it goes from this all the way up to our ride-ons, that have 27 horsepower propanes.
Yep.
So what's happening, we have a hopper right here that is filled with this shot.
Yep.
It holds it in here.
I see concrete dust and boogers, so you able to recycle.
Yes, so that's the great thing, is you have this hopper filled with shot, and nothing's happening when you turn it on, but there's a little handle. Once you press that, it's going to open up a butterfly valve, and that butterfly valve then releases the shot down through the throat, and then inside of here is where
Launching it.
It's absolutely super high velocity. It hits down right inside of here.
Sandblasting it.
Yeah, but it's contained, so it's really nice. So it hits, and then it's going down past flat, bouncing, coming back up in here.
Oh, it recycles
and just
itself?
keeps going. Absolutely.
Well, that was going to be my next question. How do you reload it? It's reloading itself.
It reloads itself. Yep. And then this is for the vacuum, so that the dust, right? The dust comes right up with it, takes the dust off, and then when the shot's small enough, it hits about 12 times. And then it's smaller, and then the vacuum thinks it's
Sucks
dust,
it out.
pulls
Gone.
it right off.
Now tell me this. Could I abrade this whole floor with just this?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yep.
Would it be less efficient than this?
Speed-wise?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Copy.
Yep.
Like
So-
double the time?
Oh, yeah.
More.
It will more than double the time.
So this is more a specialty thing. We're going to come in here and get our cracks because that cannot abrade in there and get all that stuff out of there, right?
So this can do so many things. So one, that, right? You can do cracks, this, that. Oh, hey, I need a basement. That's
You're
not going in a
yard
basement.
that in there.
Well, you can pull this into a basement or purchase another smaller grinder, right?
Sure.
So I
yard
can-
it down into the basement.
Right. Yeah, the one that comes apart, or you could use this. Also, where this is, and not so much with these smaller ones, but once you get into the larger, remember we talked earlier about the CSP, the concrete surface profile. If you need something really aggressive, shot blaster is how you're going to get there.
Right.
So you have bush hammers, shot blasters, scarifiers, which is another type of machine that will just grind it up and create a big grind. Yeah, absolutely.
Chew it up.
Yep.
Copy that.
So this will do that.
What about the hardness difference when you're doing a hardness test?
Okay. Basically, the hardness of the concrete, how does that affect either the speed or the size of the shot, right?
Yeah. And they have different grits of shot as
They
well.
do, yeah, they have different grits of shot, so you can get smaller and larger. 330 happens to be the most popular size.
Okay.
But then if you're going to do any kind of metal, they actually have angular grit that you can mix with this and get
It's a lot
angular
like
pieces.
sandblasting. Really,
Exactly.
Really.
Yep.
You can change whatever you're blasting out to what you're getting.
There you go. And so the bigger the machine, you're going to kind of move up in size. But if you also need more aggressive, you're going to move up in size, right? With these smaller ones, you don't have a lot of choice. It's a smaller shot.
Yep.
If you slow down, you're more aggressive. You speed up. So what is it you're trying to accomplish, right? So later, when we come through and we're just trying to clean this out, we're not trying to prep the floor.
Right.
We're just trying to clean things. So you're at a faster pace. Like here, inside these saw cuts, right? It's really packed in. We'll loosen it up. But over here where we have some oil, right? We can use it for removing oil spots. We had talked about that earlier. If you have oil spots, or again, look for the little triangles on the sale call where they're using Armor All on their tires, because that again is a contamination. A grinder could take that and move it.
Glaze, push it in to the
Push it
pores
in and then,
around.
exactly.
So if I'm coming here to remove the oil drips or the vehicle part, I hit this first, then abrade the floor?
Yeah, or you can just hit it for, well, yeah, because you'll go through and grind anyways,
Yeah,
but you'll
right.
hit this. What
Right
I
in the
like to
oil
do,
area.
yeah, is just kind of hit that because sometimes that oil's really soaked in.
Yes.
So hit it to start doing some other things, pay attention. If all of a sudden you see, uh-oh, there it is
Darkening.
again.
Yes, sir.
Hit it again. Then make sure we talk with Stone Coat saying, all right, we have some oil. What can we address
What are
that
our
with?
tolerances and
Yeah.
things like that?
Yep.
What can I use to get this out even further?
So up in Minneapolis, we use a lot of shot blasting. The guys who do it right do a lot of shot blasting because there really isn't an efficient way to get below flat. And if you have 200 square feet to do, you can't sit with a little needle gun.
Hell no.
You can't sit with the thing on your drilled in or a little wire brush type deal.
No, and that's because of the cold. You think is that the main
cold,
reason up there?
the ice, and then they called it Le Sueur shale, where some of the rocks
Expand, pop,
and they pop, right? So kind of looking at these clear things, kind of like this, right? But it would pop, and you have a half a rock in the floor and a half a rock on the spall.
So right,
Yeah.
you can't grind all that away. So
Right, so you use this.
Cool.
Now, if you just have a couple, you can take your hand grinder that has the cutting wheel on it and just make sure you
Yeah.
clean it out. The saying in the business is put a cross in it and pray it doesn't pop. Doesn't work, right? Because it's all, you have a pop and then it's all full of grease, oil, whatever.
Yeah.
And then you just cut a cross in it
No.
and that's clean enough, right? It doesn't work. Clean it. If you don't have a shot blaster, at least grind it out and get down to fresh concrete. So when you first get the shot blaster, or when you're using it and you're all done, it's the end of the day, you have on the bottom, it's full of shot, and that's after using it. When you get it new, you'll see just 3 magnets, and they'll be bare. If you go to use it, and then you start it, all of a sudden your shot will, the shot here will just start throwing out everywhere, all right? So what you do when you first get it, and before you start using it every day, is you fill it with this shot. You can either pour a pile on the floor and drop it in, or take a handful and just kind of put it up on the magnets. And then at the end of the day, you take a plastic putty knife and then you just scrape this so it's down to bare magnet, and then pick that up. Then on the bottom of your grinder, you won't have all those little shot on the magnets and stuff like that, and your tooling will fit better. So clean these off at the end of the day, put them back on. When you are doing this, even though you have this, make sure you're wearing your safety glasses, because these do come out at high velocity and hit you. Oh, one other thing. Inside, there's a control cage, and this is where the shot comes in. It's just a picture of what's going on back here. I have this set so it's off center a little bit, so it's heavy on one side and lighter on the other. That means this is actually misaligned. When you get it from the factory, it will be aligned and going well, but when you start changing out the replaceable parts, that will be misaligned, and you'll have to put it back in. So when you start shooting or doing your shot blasting, if it's heavy on one side or the other, then you have to go in here and just adjust that. It's really simple, but it's frustrating because you're going 1/8 of an inch here, 1/8 of an inch there, and trying to maneuver the hot spot to be right in the middle. So if you're seeing when you get it that it's shooting one way or the other, it's your control cage, which is just right in here that you adjust.
We talked about this? No, we haven't yet.
No, yeah, we didn't talk about this. So this is a crack chasing tool. We have a larger one, that you can, saw cut through, right, with thinner blades. So this is, again, another way to chase cracks, clean out things. Again, I'm more of a fan of the shot blaster for all that, right, because I already have it on hand.
Then if the concrete has cracks somewhere as
That's
it's
not
cured,
open.
correct, that's not
Or it is
intentional.
open.
Or
Yep.
yeah, you have to open that up a little bit to get the filler in there. If it's too tight, you go put a filler on there.
It just skims over the top.
It just skims over the top. Then we come and braid the floor, and it'll pop right off of that crack, and you've done nothing. So you have to open that up a little bit
So
to get the material
tiny
in.
little spider cracks that we've
Yeah.
seen in here.
We'll open that up.
those up, or will the shot blaster open that up enough?
We'll do the shot blaster so you can see when you
Yeah.
see just that little thing, and that's usually because they're little little spider. What's this word I'm looking for? The tiny little cracks.
Just little baby
Hairline.
fissures.
Hairline, that's what
cracks,
hairline. Yes. Once you run the shot blaster over, you're like, oh, it's no longer hairline.
Gets
So when
bigger.
It does, because when a crack goes, it doesn't do this. It goes like this, and you have all this loose, bad concrete. That's what we want to get rid of.
Yep.
And you can get rid of it in a couple different ways so that you have a nice, so your mender is holding onto strong concrete.
Yes, correct. It's not crumbling away.
If you don't address it and leave it there, eventually that crack's going to open, and now
It can, or it can goes through into your coatings.
Yep.
You'll see the valley of that crack.
Yep.
And you don't want to see that in your
address it now, so it
floor.
doesn't come back later.
Exactly.
I've used a crack chaser blade that's tapered. Why is this one squared?
So preference,
Just
right?
dealer choice at that
Yeah,
point.
exactly. And honestly, I prefer the taper. It's one, just easier to use.
It doesn't bind up on you for
Yeah.
the newbies, right?
Yep. Yeah.
Because it's tapered, it won't bite that cut.
Exactly.
Like if you get it in there and you rotate that, it'll want to grab it.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir. And this is probably is this a magnet?
Yep, that's a magnet.
Yeah,
so
this
that's
is going to probably pick up all your loose shot.
loose shot. Yep.
Yeah, he didn't even have to tell me that. The big brain on Mitch. When I rented this stuff, I didn't get educated like that, man. That was great information.
Good. I'm glad it helped.
So let's get to work. We got a couple floors to grind.
We're going to address anything below flat, repair it, then come back and grind.
We're using our Floor Patch Pro, and this stuff comes in black. Now our Floor Patch Pro, the stuff moves quick. Mix it for about 30 to 38 seconds before pouring the material out. For larger cracks or giant voids, go ahead and add in some quartz sand or some of our epoxy filler to keep that product from valleying in and disappearing. And if it's not perfectly level, relax. This stuff sands pretty quickly with a metal fiber sanding disc or your stand-up walk-behind grinder.
Paul, learned a ton, man. Thank you very much for bringing out your equipment.
A lot of people haven't seen them, even guys that have been in it for years.
And then when I hit something like that on a future job, I know how to get myself out of the weeds. Where can I find that?
At NiagaraMachine.com, you can find us there. I'm in the Midwest. We have 23 guys nationwide, so we can cover anywhere.
We're talking grinders, vacs, and diamond abrasives, everything.
Shot blasters,
All right.
scrapers, everything.
Sweet. Appreciate you.
Yeah, you bet. Thanks so much. Appreciate the opportunity.